Thanks for tuning in again, everybody. We're back with your favorite podcast, Luca's Tigers and Bronze. Oh my.
Welcome to a special Thanksgiving episode of Luca's Tigers and Bronze. Oh my. You know, I wanted to do something a little different, a little special today for you guys. We get a lot of questions about Pokemon, and with 2 or 3 auctions ending last night, some big auctions, especially Charizard PSA 10, I wanted to bring Cage on and talk Pokemon and all things Pokemon. And Cage, I apologize to put you on the spot, but I had an idea for this episode, if you don't mind.
Sure. I'll go for it.
Okay. So you and I have been talking a lot about should you complete the PSA 10 first edition set. So if you guys don't know, just a quick background story. Cage has been working on this set since 2017. He was one of the early eyes in the game. He knew Pokemon would be on the up, and he's been building the set for 3 years now. Yep. Pokemon exploded this year, and he has about 6 cards, I believe, remaining a few months ago. Now he'll tell you how many he has remaining before he completes that set. But the question comes up with the explosion in Pokemon, with the high prices, is it worth completing the set? So I figured, let's ask Luca Nation. Yep. Let's have a conversation. You'll tell the story. You'll give a little bit of background of what you're seeing in the market.
Yep.
Maybe someone out there is seeing something that I don't. And I think it'd be kind of a cool little Thanksgiving special. So are you okay with that?
Yeah, no, I think it's a great idea. And let me just, for background, guys, I mean, you know, it's Thanksgiving. We hope you're playing this. Maybe you're playing it the day after. Maybe you're playing it Thanksgiving night because there's no football game. You know, I'm ready to mail it in. You know, I'm half into a bottle of Screwball, peanut butter whiskey, and turkey hangover, you name it. But my partner here, Andrew, forget about it. He's like clockwork. He's like, we tell the people we're going to give him an episode, so we're going to give him an episode. And not only is it an episode, you're not mailing it in. You got a topic. You got a legitimate thing here for everybody, and I think this will be
it'd be fascinating, don't you think so? We've been talking a lot about it the last few days.
100%. I can't wait to hear what people say, because I have to tell you, I don't know where I fall on it, so I can't wait to hear what people say, because I wake up every day on a different side of this fence. So I'll give some background, and you'd ask me questions. We can have a conversation the way it is. But basically, yes, I started building, just so everyone knows what we're talking about, I started building the first edition PSA 10 Wizards of the Coast Pokemon base set. It's 102 cards, plus there are 2 variants, so people could say it's 103, 104. There's a yellow and red cheek Pikachu. The red cheek's a little rarer, sells for a little more money. There's also the Machamp card number 8. There is a shadowed version of it, which most people don't consider part of the set. But, just to be complete, I have both copies, a shadowed and a shadowless. Every first edition is supposed to be shadowless, but, that particular card is graded by PSA as first edition, even the ones with the shadow. So, complete, you'd say it's a 104 card set, based on what I'm trying to complete. It was one of those things. We had Jeremy Padower on early on, and Pokemon had not exploded yet. It had gone up, but had not exploded yet the way that it has over the last 6 months to the better part of 2020. And he purchased a full set early this year for $129,000. It was the last set that sold. So when I was building it, obviously my eye was to try to complete the set for less than that $129,000. I know that's a lot of money, guys. I know it's crazy. But for the entire time.
Well, just to pause right here, just so you guys know, what I'm thinking at this time is completing a set versus buying individual cards in Pokemon a better option? That's where I start to think, because I didn't know that there were still set collectors in the game. And I'm curious because Rally also does offer the first edition PSA 10 set, right? It's not one card. It's not an investment in a Charizard. It's a set. So it's just interesting to think about set collecting at this point.
Right before Jeremy bought his, Rally offered theirs. It was, I think the set was valued at $125,000. So early this year, you can say that set of 104 cards was approximately $125,000, $130,000 value of the set. I believe PSA has 12 of these sets registered, complete sets, 12 of them in the world. So that's kind of like your measuring stick. And I thought it would be cool to have a set. And my thought on this going into it was that at some point in the next 5 to 10 years, when Pokemon collectors would start to, come into money, that this set, which was $125,000 in value, would be worth $1 million. That's my thought. That was my thought was, in late 17, early 18, early 19, when I really started to, start going in on the set. But I will tell you, you're right. It's individual versus non-individual, right? So the Charizard, when I started building it, the Charizard was approximately a third to 40% of the value of the set. And I never picked up a Charizard 10. And there were
just to expound on that, 4 or 5 cards are probably 98% of the value of the set, 99.
Well, no. So I mean, let's just give them the free and clear here then, right? So last night on PWCC's auction, a full set sold, broken up into individual pieces. All right. So all 100, let's call it 102, 103, and there was a red cheek. The full set sold last night. The final sales price of the complete PSA 10 set was $632,000.
Sold individually.
Individually. So if you were to go,
which is a great topic to discuss also, because when it comes to selling it, do you sell individually or as a set? But let's keep going.
Yeah.
600, how much? Let's have that number on record.
$632,000. So it's a new, obviously, record price for the set, because the prior record was Jeremy Padour's purchase at $129,000. So $632,000.
Which was at what point this year?
I think it was like February or March of this year.
Cool.
So maybe even later, might have even been April. But the hollows, there are 16 hollows. That includes the Charizard, the Blastoise. They are the big part of the set. So this is what you're talking about, the percentage of the set. The first 16 cards accounted for $574,000 of that value.
All right, I'm gonna go do some.
The remaining cards,
Cage, we're losing you for just a second. He's back. He's back, guys.
So $58,000 for the non-hollows and $574,000 for the 16 hollows. So you can basically say 91%. 90%.
91%. That's
90 and 10, basically. Yeah. Yeah. So about 90% of those 16 hollows. The Charizard was $295,000 by itself.
Yep.
So approximately 46% is the Charizard. Right now, just so that everybody's on the same page, I do not own that Charizard. I have a 9. I do not have a 10.
That's the Holy Grail. But here's the other interesting thing. That's the
Holy Grail.
In 2017, with Cage started, the Magnetron, which was, for what I understand, an irrelevant card, was maybe a few $100. Yep. Of course, it was scarce.
Let's go back to
there's a low pop.
Yeah, let's go back to last year, right before the stuff really popped. Let's go back to last year. Like Magnetron was a $2,000 card, $2,500 card, something like that. Yeah, yep. And Charizard, but at the time, just so we can do a little math on it, was about $40,000 to $45,000. Okay.
So now, if I understand correctly, your dilemma and Cage, how many cards do you have left to collect?
So, including Charizard, I only need 3 cards.
But now 2 of those 3 are pretty sizable investments for kind of irrelevant cards, which begs the question, do you finish the set? But here you have to pony up a big chunk of cash for a card that your heart and soul really isn't into it. Your heart and soul is into completing the set, but not into 3 magnets that are inverted looking at each other, trying to scare someone.
So that's the question, right? That's the question for Luca Nation, right? It was one thing building the set when I thought everything in it was undervalued. And I thought that the entire set would appreciate, you name it. And now I'm at a point where I have to pay peak price for cards that I'm only buying because of completing the set. And take it one step further. As we've seen with PWCC, when you send the set to PWCC, they tell you, and whether they're right or wrong, who knows? I think they're right, as evidence from last night. They will tell you that the best way for you to maximize your money is to sell each one of these cards individually. Do not sell it as a complete set. If you sell it as a complete set, you will get less money because there are less people who have the ability, the means, and the desire to drop $630,000 to buy a complete set. There are more people out there who are trying to complete sets themselves, or have the ability to buy individual and single cards for significantly less than $630,000. So the question for Luca Nation becomes this: should I be spending the top dollar now? And you're talking about Magneton, Hitmonchan. Magneton sold last night for $17,000, and Hitmonchan, the only 2 that I need, that one sold for like $23,000. These are cards that I passed on last year at 3, 4. Yeah.
Sorry,
but
you're
so
on
they
a
sold
little bit
last
of a
year
delay
$3,000 or $4,000.
So Luca Nation, you guys have to know, Cage is taking this
Sorry.
call from the road. This is on the road. This is not a home game. This is a road game that we're putting in a shift for you guys. So that's why there's a little bit of a lag.
Yeah.
So we apologize for that. But comp those prices, the Magnetron and the Hitmonchan, how much were they last year and 2 years ago, if you remember, just ballpark?
Yeah, so I passed on Magneton at 3,000 to 4,000 and Hitmonchan, $4,000 to $5,000 last year. So
this is like a Jared Culver. This is like Jared Culver going up 5x.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Think of it this way, right? So there are people who buy, and I use this comparison a lot because Michael Jordan is the Charizard, but there are people who buy the 1986 Fleer set, right? And there are cards in that 86 Fleer set like Johnny Moore that nobody wants on their own, but Johnny Moore still sells for $10,000 in PSA 10 because it is a low pop card that you need to complete that set. There are people who buy this set, and Magneton is basically like that Johnny Moore. Hitmonchan is one of the lower pop cards. Like, it only has like 56 of them. It's only 10 or so more than Chansey, and Chansey sold last night for almost $40,000, $37,000 I think it sold for. So obviously there are people out there who are looking for these cards to buy the set. The real question that I have for our Luca Nation is this. I'm not planning to sell this thing anytime soon. I was planning on building a set, hoping to spend $125,000 or $130,000 and then hold it until it was $1 million set. So I do think it's going to go up. But do I still buy these cards knowing full well that the goal is at some point to sell this set, knowing that I'm just going to have to break it up and sell them individually anyway? Do I just stop now and just, hold what I have and sell them individually? Because, or do I go for the set? Do I try to become one of the 13 or so people that own this set? So it's interesting. It really is. And it begs the question, which is this. Everything in 2020 has been nuts, from Project 2020 to modern basketball to vintage basketball to vintage football to all of these cards. They've all seen the spike to soccer to the comeback down, right? And this stuff is not immune. Last night, some cards sold for significantly less than they sold for a couple of months ago. We're not talking about some of the PSA 10 hollows, but, Yellow Cheek Pikachu in PSA 10 had sold for as high as, $5,500 a couple of months back. And I think one sold last night for $2,500. Now, don't get me wrong. I own several of those and I paid $500 a piece for them approximately last year. So even at $2,500, you're talking about a significant multiple. But, is there a pullback? Is there a consolidation period? Do these continue to go up? There's a lot of questions with Pokemon. Right. A lot of people jumped into
and
this.
what I would think about there is, because the Hitmonchan, for example, is such a low pop, you don't know if you're overpaying by double because that card hasn't pulled back yet, or there hasn't been enough sales of that to know if it's a pullback yet.
Correct.
Are you overpaying for it?
Yep. 100% correct. And, I will tell you, just to add some color to this, that I purchased the last three to get me to only needing 3 cards. Because you're right, I needed 6. The last 3 I purchased about a month and a half ago, I purchased at what I would consider the peak of the market. And the 3 cards sold last night in eBay auctions for less than what I paid. So I've already paid more for some of these hollows than what the hammer price was for these 3 last night alone. So I'm already...
Now, let me ask you as an emotional question. Please. Does that infuriate you as an investor?
You can't just think about it as one particular sale on one night that way. You know what I mean? And, there's a lot of ifs, like you say, what ifs, right? There's a lot of what ifs that went into that. Had I bid on those last night, if I didn't buy the ones that I bought, had I bid on those, who knows what the person who won's high bid was? Would I have still been able to get them at the price I paid? You never know, right? But what you're talking about here is these high-end, cards with low pop. It really only takes 1 or 2 people, going after them for you to see a significant spike. But I'll throw another fun one out there for Luca Nation on this is, everybody says, sell your base cards, sell your base this, sell your base PSA 10s of Trey and Luca and Zion and Ja. You have taught me this lesson. What you get with those that you don't get from these high-end, low pop cards that there are some high-end buyers chasing is certainty. Because of the liquidity and the fact that there are Ja Morants sold every day and Zions and Luka sold every day, you can feel pretty confident that if you decide today you wake up and sell that card, you have some certainty into how much you're going to get for that card. It is not the case with these other cards that there are, so few of in the world and only a couple people who are looking for them. So there is that other little, factor to it,
So I also think about, so yeah, it's hard to quantify demand, right?
Yep.
But if you were to approximate demand,
Yep.
There's only 12 complete sets for PSA 10 first edition. But
Yep.
what's the demand for that? Maybe 100 people worldwide really care about it.
Yep.
Where if you just take a card like a Chansey, even something not like a Charizard, that card I would imagine has a demand of 5,000, 10,000. There's way more interested buyers. There's guys from like apparently football teams that are even interested in that card.
Yep.
Shockingly. I couldn't believe it. And if you even extrapolate that even further to like the Charizard, well, that card, the demand for that card is probably in the millions.
Yeah, infinite. Yeah.
Infinite.
Yeah,
but
that's
for the
card
set,
that people want. Yep.
There's actually not much of a demand. So
right,
it's
because
super
the individual
fascinating.
cards will always have more demand than the set, because automatically everybody who's building a set wants each individual card. All of the individual cards, a set builder, right? But there is an entire universe of people who want a Charizard that don't want a whole set. I mean, a couple of months ago, a Poliwrath is a good example. It's always been thought of as the lowest priced holo, although it didn't sell for the lowest price of the holos last night. There was a YouTuber, an influencer. I forget what he did. I don't know if he's like a singer or an artist. I have no idea. But he paid full price for the last Poliwrath on eBay. It was $29,999, all best offer, and he just hit buy it now. And then posted a whole thing about how he paid $30,000 for it. Previously, before that, the highest sale on the card ever was like $11,000. But he didn't care. That was his favorite Pokemon when he grew up. When he collected as a kid, that was he was a Poliwrath guy, and he paid full $30,000. Now, one sold last night for $13,000. Does that guy care? Probably not. Would I care if I paid $30,000 for a card and the next one sold for $13,000? You're damn right I would. But, so you're right. There are fans of individual cards that are not people out there building a whole set. And I think that's why someone like PWCC or Probstein or any auction house would tell you, break it up and sell it individually, because you have more of a shot of getting, full value for it.
Fascinating. Well, let me flip this on you. After last night's auctions, here you are at the end of the year. Give us 3 of Cage's takes on Pokemon completing the set. Give us 3 takes.
Yeah, so takes on Pokemon, right? So modern basketball went up, went flying, and then came down, right? We saw a drop. We saw a drop even in Luka. We saw a drop in LeBron. We see a drop in everybody, top guys. But one of the fun things, I mean, we hear it a lot, right? Charizard can't go out there and tear an ACL, right? Charizard's not going to go out there and get a DWI or a DUI, right? I mean, that was a great Buster line. Love it. If you haven't watched our video on this, cut by Jordan on our team.
Great is loosely used there, right?
Yeah. So no, but I don't know. That was that's my favorite video that our podcast has made in the months that we've been here, and I've made several myself. They all pale in comparison to Jordan's work on this one. If you haven't seen the little video that's posted on our Instagram, go check it out. It's a lot of fun. You got Adam Lefko in there, Gary V's in there, Buster's in there. It's just cool Pokemon stuff. But here's the flip side, right? So you know what I said in that video is Charizard's also not going out there and dropping 40, 20, and 10 like Luka does, right? And that's true. So what we've seen basketball come back. Trey's cards are now at their all-time high. You can get more for a Trey Silva now, or a Trey base now, than you ever could have, ever. So it went up, it came back down, but now in the lead up to the season and in the season coming up here, they're going up. Why are they going up? They're going up because people are anticipating what a great season Trey's going to have. That he's going to go out there in the first week and have 5 40-point games. Well, Charizard, while he's not tearing his ACL, is also not going out there and dropping 50. He's not going to go out and beat LeBron in a game. So what is the impetus to stop the fall, right? Now, some of the cards haven't fallen. Charizard does not fall, right? He may be fall proof. Every time that card comes up for auction, it sets a new record price, right? And we're talking about, I was offered one last year for $81,000, this year for $81,000. And I passed on it because I didn't want to get on an airplane and fly in the middle of all this fun craziness, you name it. And that card was eventually sold to a very large influencer who we all know, who owns the card now. And I obviously can't get it for 81 since it sold last night for $295,000. A regret. I have many. But it sold for 81, then it sold for 120, then one sold. Steve Aoki paid 100.
Thanksgiving soapbox by Cage Lawyer.
Steve Aoki paid 170 for his, then Logic paid 226 for his, and now somebody last night paid 295. I mean, every time it comes up for sale, it's more money. Again, not complaining, but that in and of itself may be enough of a reason to not continue to build the set. Because
it did fall a little bit, man. It was sold for 320 to Logic, and this one was 295.
No. Logic paid 226.
Oh, okay.
This is a new record. 226 for Logic, and it's gone up significantly since then in this auction. It remains to be seen if it gets paid, and that's the other thing we can talk about PWCC auctions and stuff like that. But basically, I mean, I'm curious to see what the impetus is for this stuff to go back up. How you doing, brother? You can't say, all right, don't worry about Luca's cards. They'll go down, but when the season starts and he goes out there and does his thing, they'll go back up, right? Is there a Pokemon movie that Charizard's going to come and star in and rekindle Charizard's glory? No, I mean, so I think what we're seeing now is just a natural course. All right, there's always Pokemon collectors. There have always been Pokemon collectors, but what caused this tremendous run up are people who are not your standard Pokemon collectors coming into the game and shining a light on it. Your Logan Pauls, Gary V, Logic, all of these headlines, and everybody wanted to get in on it. And the cards ran. And now what you're seeing is some, I believe, logical profit taking. Right? Cards have gone up a lot. Cards have gone up tremendously. I paid $4,000 for my Blastoise PSA 10. And last night one sold for $42,000 or $45,000. It's logical.
Do you see something like we're finding a new floor for Blastoise?
Well, yes, I do.
Charmander and those,
yes.
But the Charizard's going to be the runaway. That card's going to be $1 million card. Where these cards might just actually kind of trade within this new floor that they found for even the next 5 years. But the Charizard kind of is that Wayne Gretzky card, that Michael Jordan card. That card might be just run away with it. Maybe. Is that possible? A little separation?
Maybe. I think the opposite is possible, and I would say even potentially likely, right? Because it's what you see is when the one card runs, the rest of the cards follow. That's normally what you'll see, right? And if Logic goes out there and buys that Charizard, and he's got the Charizard, well, he's now one of 120 people with a Charizard. It's less because there are people who own multiple, but he's now one of 120 people. So what's the next logical thing for someone like Logic or Steve Aoki or Logan Paul, if he stays in Pokemon cards, to do? It's to try to be one of the 11 or 12 or 13 people that has the complete set. That's what people who own the Jordan do. They want to become the 86 Fleer PSA 10 set owners, right? So I believe, and the same thing, even if it's not a set builder, they're going to be next. Michael Jordan's rookie card from 86 Fleer went up. And you know what happened after that? The Barkley followed. The Hakeem Olajuwons followed. The Barkley followed. The Ewing followed. The Dominique Wilkins followed. And everything that was kind of languishing, all of a sudden, like everything else, you'll find that if Michael Jordan's card is worth $125,000 and there's 317 of them, well, Dominique Wilkins, it can't be worth $1,000 when there's 92 of them, and all of a sudden it's 7,500 or 9,000. So I think more logical what's going to happen is that Zard has always been about a third of the price of the set, and it's stretched itself to about 46% of the value of the set now. I think while that Zard will continue to climb, I don't think it's going to go down. I think as that climbs slowly, I think these other cards, the Blastoise, the Venusaur, these guys, I think you're right in saying that there's a floor being set for them now. I think a floor of $10,000, $11,000, $12,000 is the lowest you're going to be able to get any entry-level hollow PSA 10. But I think the upside is going to be there. I think that if you were to stop now, take some pictures of the prices and do a chart over the next 2 years, while Charizard grows, I think the other hollows are going to grow at a faster rate.
I love it. Well, there you guys have it. A little special, different episode for you guys, but I hope you find value in it. A little Pokemon talk.
Well, listen, and I'll roll into a pick with it, right? I'll roll into a pick with it. Of course
you will. Of course you will.
One of the things that I will tell folks, and I'm dumb because I'm selling one of these recently too. So I'm, so it's my own fault. But one of the things that Buster talked about, Jeremy Fedauer talked about, you name it, is even though we just talked about Blastoise and Chansey and Magneton and Hitmonchan and Poliwrath and all these hollows, one of the things these guys talked about is Pikachu. And even Lefko's portion of our video, which I hope you guys go and check out. Thanks, Jordan, for making it. Is that while Charizard is the name, Pikachu's on all the posters. Pikachu's the one who got the movie. Pikachu was Detective Pikachu. Pikachu. Now the Pikachu pops are higher, but I will tell you that Pikachu Red Cheeks and even Pikachu Yellow Cheeks, they ran and they've now come down a lot. People are taking profit on them now. All right, and I believe that there is, just like there's a floor being set for those base PSA 10 hollows, the non-Charizard ones. I think there's a floor being set now for PSA 10 Pikachu. Yellow Cheek sold for about $2,500. I'm telling you, that card was over $5,500 at its peak. If you can grab that card anywhere in that range, and the same goes for PSA 9s, guys. You do not have to be spending thousands of dollars in PSA 10. The PSA 9s have all come down a lot too. There's a lot of profit taking going on at the end of the year. A lot of people looking for money to spend on holidays. This auction probably would do better in April than it did in November. People are looking to spend money on a lot of other things. But I'm telling you, I think that Pikachu he's got that brand recognition. He's the guy. Pikachu might be LeBron. Pikachu is
and with Pokemon cards, I don't know if you agree with this, but I've seen PSA 9s that look as good as PSA 10s, and it's not like buying a Luca PSA 9 in the Prism. I don't buy Prism PSA 9s, but with Pokemon, I think it's a viable investment because you got to remember it's a vintage card. It's a 21-year card. A PSA 9 is still a valuable asset and pretty low relative.
Right. The reason why you're not buying a Luca PSA 9 is because there are 10,000 PSA 10s of him. The PSA 10 pop on some of these Pokemon cards from 1999 is in double digits. So, it's difficult to get a 10. The PSA 9 is definitely a viable investment. And to answer your question, yes, I have seen many 10s that are in worse shape than several 9s, especially recent 9s. And if I ever do get the Magneton and the Hitmonchan and Charizard is the last one I need, we'll have another episode talking about how I go about taking my PSA 9, which is the nicest Charizard 9 I've ever seen, and trying to change that to a 10, whether it's lobbying PSA to have them take a second look, which I've personally never done. And, I know there is a way to do it, but I don't imagine that there's much success, whether it's trying to cross it over to a BGS. But yeah,
all you're looking for is a fair review, right? That's what all I would care about is, hey, this looks like a 10. I've subbed thousands of cards. You're the expert. Would you give me just a courtesy fair review, not a PSA 9 review, a fair review? If this was a raw card right now, what would you grade it? I think that's what we're really all looking for. Yeah.
Well, listen, if I really think it's a 10, I could also crack it out of the case and say, go ahead and grade it.
Yeah, but dude, that's so scary. Cracking a $40,000 card is not that fun.
Yeah, I'm with you. But, PSA will tell you they already gave you a fair review when they gave you a no. So
let's wrap with this, but I do want to ask you something. So, and maybe you could help lead me to it. But with these already low pop PSA 10 cards, right? I think Pokemon saw a run up like never before recently, right? And you mentioned profit taking.
Yep.
So when you see a run up like that, you have two types of buyers. You have the buyers that are kind of young, opportunistic buyers, right? They're like, I've been waiting for this. I could get in at 2K, or I could get in for 500 and sell that Pikachu for 3, 4, 5,000, right? Opportunistic. And then you have guys that are like, if I don't buy that Pikachu or that Blastoise right now, I may never get it. And they go ahead and buy it, but they go and stash it, right?
Yep.
Don't you feel like there's going to be less active PSA 10 supply moving forward?
Well,
because there are more people that have bought it and stashed it?
I agree 100% with that. And I think that's why we're seeing, I don't want to call it a price stall, but, for something like Pikachu, right? I think we are. I think we're seeing more supply come on the market now than ever before. If you go back over time, these PSA 10s, like I need a Hitmonchan or Magneton, the only ones that show up on eBay are people who are just showing them off for $150,000. You know what I mean? With no intention of selling them at all. just to say, hey, look, I have it. You know, if some YouTube influencer wants to pay 150, like someone paid 30,000 for the Polyrath, I'll leave
it could be
here.
the guy. It could be the 45-year-old guy who still lives in the basement with his mom who loves that card, and he just posted on. There's those guys too, by the way.
Yeah, they use eBay as a museum.
They use 100%. eBay as their museum. They love it. I've seen it in
Yep.
Facebook groups all the time. Like they're like, look at this card I just posted. It's like 7x the comps.
Yep.
But it's just like a cool insert from the 1990s.
Yeah, it happens 100%. So, but to your question, I do believe this pullback is a result of, like we said, profit taking. I think that the supply that's out there right now is higher than it's been in a couple of years. And we're not talking about supply, I'm talking about available supply. And yes, what happens is these will now be eaten up. They'll be put into collections. They'll be put into sets where people, hopefully like me, who are buying them and, you know, going to give them to their son or hold them for 10 years or whatever it may be, and you don't see it. And yes, what happens when that happens is after that supply of profit taking decreases, price goes back up because there's still demand for these things, but they're not all over eBay. They're not multiple listings. PWCC is not doing a major event about it. And just think about the numbers, right? If Jeremy Padawer was able to buy this set for $129,000 earlier this year and broke up set sold last night for $630,000, think of the run up there. I mean, that's a 5x run up. You know, Rally has the set, you mentioned them, and that was 125. I'm pretty sure that someone came in and offered for the complete set $470 something thousand, right?
That's right.
And Slab Stocks, friends of ours, you know, they did a nice write-up about that, about how they got this offer. And I believe Slab Stocks, smart young guys, right? I believe they came in and said they were going to vote against that buyout. Now, of course, I think the way that works, it's almost like stock.
It was 51-49 against it. It was pretty close, though, Cage.
I mean, so he might have been a deciding vote. Who knows? But what happens is they buy in at $25, right? They buy in at $25, and I think per share. And I think that offer allowed them to cash out at $81 per share. So think about that. That's a nice run up. But what his point was is that $475,000 or $476,000, whatever that offer is light. And what you found out in that PWCC auction last night was he's right, because they would have been selling for 476. What's sold broken up for 630.
Asterisk, if it was paid for.
If it was paid for. Although, listen, the vast majority of this is going to be paid for. I mean, some of these things,
maybe not the big guy.
Maybe not.
That's the best. That's
You're right.
46%.
Maybe not. I mean, listen, PWCC, there's a lot of fun with their auctions, but I will tell you this. I mean, the private auction is one thing, but that Charizard was at like $30 million at one point during this listing. I think I took a picture of it. I'll show you. And what PWCC does is after people play their games, they clean out all of those crappy bets. They vet everybody who's in there. They only let known bidders bid, and you know, possibly to their detriment, because I was told, like, one of the auctions that sold last night, Venusaur, sold significantly less than what the iconic auction sold for last time around. I think one of them sold for like $19,000 last night. And what I was told was there are two big Pokemon, you know, collectors who were attempting to bid, but allegedly their PWCC, you know, wouldn't let them bid because they were not known bidders to PWCC. Like, they didn't call them ahead of time and register. And that's a high price item to have somebody who's never bid with them before bid. So, yeah, interesting stuff, right? I mean, you know, there's a lot that goes into these things.
I'll wrap with this. I'm this kind of buyer, and I would imagine in the Pokemon market there's going to be more of these types of buyers as well. And I don't do this with the Pokemon market, but I'm just talking in general. And David Peck mentioned this as well. So let's say you really believe in Pikachu, for this example.
Yep.
You probably got it at 200, then it went up to 500, probably bought it there again.
Yep.
It went up to 1,000, you probably bought it there again.
Yep.
And that went up to 4,000 and it dropped back down to 2,500.
Yep.
I know as a buyer, I've been right on this card every single time. And now I just want more inventory of it. And what I'm seeing is a 40% discount on this card. So I'm probably going to start scooping this card up. And I think you're going to start seeing that with rare Pokemon cards, with low pop Pokemon cards, because dude, there's people who believe in them. There's enough buyers who believe in them, and they've made quite a few bucks on them. And why would they not reinvest those monies right back into the card that they believed in? I think it's a really important strategy to pick up on as well.
Yeah, I mean, and listen, the Pokemon craze, it's a healthy thing. There were cards that sold last night at record prices that were not part of this set. I mean, there was a Lugia card that sold for over $100,000. You know, there are Sky Ridge, which is a 2003. It's the last Woods of the Coast set Pokemon card that sold, a Charizard that sold for over $20,000. A Neo Shining Charizard sold for over $20,000. I mean, it's $25,000 card. I mean, it's not just this one set. So, there's definitely legs to Pokemon, but I think your point is 100% right. I mean, there are people who are now going to come in and view these as buying cards at a discount. They ran up, and like anything does when it runs up crazy like that, there is a logical pullback in price. And yeah, I think that's what we're seeing now. I think that's just the temporary pause on its way back up, a little slower this time.
Luca Nation, this is a goodie. I hope you guys enjoy it. Please let us know.
I'm not letting you go yet. I got questions for you, right? So,
please.
On turkey, you got turkey on your plate, and you have the option of having sweet potatoes or white mashed potatoes. What do you go with? The sweet potatoes or the mashed potatoes?
Mashed potatoes.
All right. Do you go with a Brussels sprout casserole or a green bean casserole?
I don't know what a casserole is.
All right. Well, you can look that up. It's on Google. If you had green beans or Brussels sprouts, what would you go?
Brussels sprouts, though, for sure.
All right. You go with the Brussels sprouts. Okay. And then, are you a corn or a peas guy?
Peas.
All right. And if you
hate corn.
Hate corn
on the cob.
Right. Listen,
it's too much work.
When you're on the cob, sure, niblets are cool. But when you're a kid, it's nothing like eating corn. This way you get to see it after you eat it again.
Nah,
so
I work hard, so I don't have to work hard to eat. I hate working hard to eat.
All right. How about stuffing? Are you a fan of in the bird or outside of the bird?
Never had stuffing. We don't have that, remember?
Never eaten stuffing in your life, dude. Guys.
Well, not knowingly.
No.
Like, I'm sure I've tried it, but it was like, okay, it's kind of weird. It's like kind of bread, right? Like a little bread.
Yeah, it's bread. It's 100% bread. Some people
but you guys throw everything into it, right? It's just like a mishmash of all these foods.
I guess. I guess it's basically just cubed bread pieces, some celery, some carrots, some seasoning, and that kind of stuff. There are stovetop versions of it, which I wouldn't recommend. But I make that even. That would be my third favorite. Every once in a while, it's a nice thing. In the bird and outside the bird. In the bird's always the best. Come on now. But
it probably has the juices. It's like breadcrumbs dipped in the fat.
Exactly. It's got like
that sounds fire.
It's definitely fire. I assume that's a good thing. Fire is
your
good.
Your generation doesn't understand that fire can be used for everything.
Dude, so I'm going to throw one out there for you, and it'll show you my age. I had this exact conversation with my daughter this morning because she was saying something that I made was fire. And I'm like, all right, that's cool. I said, the words are amazing over time. I said, you went back to the 50s, and they wanted to say that something was cool. They wouldn't say it was lit or fire. You know what they would say? They'd say it's boss.
Yep.
Boss, right? That's boss. And I said to this is a word I'm bringing back, guys. So if you are from my generation and you want to bring a word back, here's my word. In the 80s, if you liked a girl and you thought that girl was attractive, you didn't say she was lit or fire or hot or, as my daughter said, that's my bae. I don't know what bae, B-A-E, that's my bae, is what my daughter tells me. No, you would say, now get this, card collectors of the world, you would say that girl is mint. She's mint. So if there's anybody out there who is my age or someone around there remembers
that's pretty good, Cage.
Give a little comment in there. You would say, "Oh man, I like that girl. That girl is mint." And talk about a word that is appropriate for card collectors out there, right? A mint. So I guess maybe gem mint would be better than mint. But yeah, we used to say, "Oh, that girl's mint." It's funny. What other words are like that out there? Throw some comments out there for us on this one. And guys, listen. Before we let you
I like that. That's well played.
We got to bring that word back. We got to bring that word back because that's legit. Especially, come on, guys. What better word for us to be using to describe stuff than mint? But hey, listen, we're here. We're it's a Thanksgiving episode. We love you guys. We wanted to throw something out there for you. There's no football tonight because of the COVID striking again and no Ravens Steelers. You have to push that off till Sunday. Hopefully, you listened to our episode yesterday and put the over in on the early game because that was in by halftime basically. So we try to make sure that you guys know we're there for you, because each and every one of the 45,000 of you that have listened to us over the last 4 months, we view you as family. We really do. And, family is what we're most thankful for, and we're thankful for you guys. So we're here every day, and we'll be here again for you tomorrow to chat. Enjoy, guys. And if you're going out Black Friday shopping,
insert little violin here.
That's my little violin, dude. But we mean it. Come on, I love these guys. Look at some of the comments we got in the last couple of days that I showed you. Some of these guys are nice. Some of these guys, we really are. It's really the big community, and we love you guys. So you got a lot of stuff to comment on. Did you ever use the word mint? If not, what was the word of the day for you during your generation's fun word? That's number one. Number two, should I be completing the set? Or the hell with the set, because we're just going to have to break up the set anyway when it's time to sell, and stop dumping good money after bad, in Magnetron and Hitmonchan. Or should I go out and get them? Because I can. I'd have to overpay, but I can go get them. So tell us what you think on that. And then, what are we saying? Lastly, turkey, stuffing in the bird or out of the bird. We want to see some comments from you guys. Thank you for spending some time with us on another episode of the Lucas, Tigers, and Bronze Oh My podcast. Do us a favor and like, subscribe. You know what? Don't just like and subscribe. Everybody does that. If you like us, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your enemies, tell everybody. And we hope you got something from spending some time with us today, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.